You let everyone else pick their favorite lanes, so you volunteer to fill the remaining role, Valorate, as usual. Within 2 minutes, the enemy team packed with high-tier mythical immortals is aggressively invading your jungle and bullying your teammates. Most players tilt here. They blame the draft, they blame the matchmaking, and they give up. But an early game beatdown is exactly where a patient roamer thrives. In this match, I absorbed over 272,000 damage, maintained a 79% teamfight presence, and completely flipped the macro against a top-tier players. Today we aren't talking about item builds. We are breaking down the 3 psychological laws of roaming to carry unbalanced lobbies. Look at our draft. We have 2 mages and 2 marksmen. In solo queue, this is usually the moment people start typing insults in the chat. We have 0 frontline and our map pressure is completely broken. My job isn't to look for flashy skills, it's to hold the center of the map together. Look at the minimap. Joe is rotating directly towards our poker path to disrupt our jungler. If he gets the delay, our entire early game economy collapses. By absorbing their cooldowns and forcing 2 high-tier players to burn their early game map pressure on a roamer, our jungler remained completely untouched. They spent their momentum for 200 gold while our team secured the Little Wanderer and kept farming safely. When you play roam, you have to separate your ego from your KDA. Giving up first blood is a psychological trap, and the enemy just walked right into it. This is a successful macro trade. I invested my positioning to protect a vulnerable win condition. Mia gets home alive and the lane is held, but less than 30 seconds later, I fell straight into the deadliest psychological trap in solo queue, the Savior Complex. Look at this scenario. Claude is attempting a low percentage 1v3 play to steal the turtle. Every strategic indicator tells me to abandon this fight and cross mat to secure our mage farm. But my old instinct resurfaced, the toxic urge to save every teammate from their own bad decisions. I stepped into the mid grinder. Gushen took me down, Cho wiped out Claude, and our mage only secured a major consolation kill. If I had walked away, our team suffers 1 casualty. Because I let emotion override macro logic, we suffered 2, lost the map pressure, and handed over the turtle. We traded their marksmen, but Gushen cleaned up Harley and Mia, securing the turtle. The scoreboard looks grim, but as a roamer, you must recognize this macro truth. The enemy is now entering the trap of overconfidence. They took the objective, but they expanded everything to do it. They think this game is over. Let them get hungry. That hunger is exactly how we break them. After the second turtle, the enemy tried to bait us into constant skirmishes. Most roamers feel obligated to fight here, but when your team is bleeding gold, engaging is a trap. By refusing their fights, I stopped the go-get from drifting out of reach. We forced a ceasefire, allowing our squishy composition to finally breathe, farm, and level up. The enemy committed everything to dive our Chang'e in top lane. To an average team, this is a loss, but to a Sage roamer, this is the opening we've been starving for. Cho is incredibly mobile, but he overextended for the kill. By overlapping my ultimate, I locked him down, turning a slippery target into an effortless kill for Harley. When your mage pushes a tier 1 tower against fat immortals, a gank is 100% guaranteed. Don't stand next to them, hide in their escape route. By camping in the beetle bush, I gave Harley the exact vision he needed to retreat decisively. When Gushen arrived, I didn't fight him, I simply distracted him, choked his pathing, and wasted his momentum. Gushen was relentless, completely blinded by his hunt for Harley. When an assassin tilts like this, they stop looking at the map, they only see the target. I stepped in, forced him to expand his entire kit onto my health bar and handed Chang'e a free shutdown on a silver platter. Rigid roamers stick to their lane, elite roamers protect the map's heart. With our mage rotating, Rock and Cho mounted a massive siege on our mid turret. If this structure falls, we lose the entire map. I stood alone under the glass, absorbing their pressure and buying critical seconds. By holding that line, our Chang'e arrived just in time to clear and completely break their siege. At the 9-minute mark, we were still bleeding gold. To break the deficit, you must exploit enemy greed. I anchored the river bush and stepped out, offering my health bar as unmissable bait for a fat enemy. The play wasn't over. The enemy retaliated, hunting down our vulnerable cooldown spam mages. By dropping a precise skill 1 to anchor Cho and physically body blocking Lucas, I neutralized the danger, ensuring a 0 casualty retreat. Securing a kill feels like a victory. But a kill can be a deadly distraction. I took down their marksman, but by chasing her, I lost sight of the main objective, the Lord. My team split the difference between fighting and retreating, and the enemy punished our lack of cohesion. We traded one marksman for a 3-man wipe and the Lord. It was a brutal reminder. Never prioritize a kill over a game-ending objective. High ground towers are the ultimate equalizer. The enemy grew overconfident with the Lord, diving deep into our base. The exact moment their marksman locked down Claw, I saw our opening. I stepped back in using my first skill to disrupt the ultimate and peel for my marksman, securing a massive shutdown. Though we lost Harley in the ensuing chaos, we didn't panic. We pressed the advantage and shut down Gushon as well. We didn't waste a single second celebrating. We immediately secured the Lord uncontested and transformed our defensive miracle into a game-ending counter-offensive. It was time to finish it. In a desperate final defense, the enemy dumped their entire crowd control arsenal to pick off our Harley. But in solo queue, burning every ultimate on a single target leaves you completely defenseless. With their crowd control span, their frontline completely dissolved. I anchored the space, allowing Mia and Changer to safely dismantle Grok. The tank fell and their defense shattered. When the enemy throws their entire lineup into a desperate late game dive, don't panic. An elite roamer doesn't look at the chaos, they look at the counter-engage window. I locked down their frontline while my team layered their damage perfectly. Mia landed a flawless crowd control chain, Claude melted their backline, and Changer chased down the stragglers to secure the total wipeout. When your primary damage dealer makes a fatal positioning error, a Sage Roamer doesn't run, we buy time. I turned back into the fire, anchoring 3 enemies alone. I knew my survival chance was 0, but by unleashing a final ultimate, I dragged their fighter down with me and created a massive window for my team to clean up the rest. We traded a Roma for an inhibitor and a full team wipe. Drop a comment below. At the 12-minute mark, is trading your tank to secure a base breakthrough always worth it? Late game sieges aren't about forcing the base crystal. They are about dismantling options. Even when your ally trade kills chaotically, an elite roamer focus strictly on stripping the enemy's lateral vision. I locked down Grok to clear their defensive frontline, allowing Claude to shatter the top inhibitor while Changer choked out the bottom lane. We systematically stripped away their high ground map control, piece by piece. With their inner turrets all cleared and 2 lanes completely compromised, we checked our grid. We gave up the crystal for now, chose a disciplined retreat and set up the final choke. When the enemy is backed into a corner, your frontline will panic. Initiate. An elite roamer expects this. You don't dodge the engagement, you absorb it completely, rendering their biggest crowd control tools entirely useless. By standing as a physical wall, I neutralized Lucas' counter dive and absorbed Obsidian's raw damage. Because I controlled the spacing, my damage dealers remained completely untouched, forcing the enemy to abandon the objective to clear waves. We secured the final lot without a contest, not because we outsmoked them, but because we broke their frontline's will to fight. When the enemy secures 2 major late game shutdowns, their adrenaline spikes. They stop playing the map and start hunting kills. That overconfidence is the exact weapon a Sage Roamer uses to strike back. I didn't run blindly, I shadowed their pursuit, anchored the river bush and handed my assassin the vision he needed to collect a massive shutdown. We minimized the trade deficit and completely broke their counter push. And because the enemy chased us into the jungle, they forgot the lanes. They survived the team fight, but their base crystal was left at 5%. When the enemy base is under 20%, your brain will scream at you to clear the defending heroes. An elite macro player filters out the noise. I ignored the fight completely, dedicating every basic attack straight to the crystal. The calculation failed by a fraction of a second. Our damage dealers fell and my health pool was stripped to 10%. In such instance, teams panic, re-engage out of frustration and throw the entire match. I didn't linger in regret. I used our pre-established minion pressure as a shield. The enemy wanted to chase my 10% health bar, but our waves forced them back. We didn't lose the game, we just delayed the finish. In the late game, an elite roamer treats their health bar as information. I didn't face tank that bush by accident. I forced the enemy to show their cards, clearing the path for our damage dealers. Recognizing the opening, Harley made the ultimate tactical distraction. He and Chenger drew the entire army formation away, trading their lives to guarantee Claude and Mia could secure the enhanced Lord uncontested. 2 deaths for an enhanced late game Lord is a mathematically flawless trade. The map is open, the path is clear, and the final checkmate is set. Most roamers hoard their ultimates for the final base crystal fight, but when an enemy assassin commits to a desperate high ground dive on your damage dealer, saving your ultimate is a fatal mistake. I chose to burn my ultimate early. By neutralizing their diver in the river, Claude stayed at almost 100% health. We traded single cooldown for a flawless shutdown, stripping the enemy of their only defensive frontline before we even crossed their high ground. The loss of a marksman usually signals a panic retreat, but an elite roamer doesn't just watch health bars. We track enemy cooldowns. The moment their frontline spends their utility, the window opens. I refused to give up map pressure. Recognizing Grog was completely defenseless, I weaponized my remaining HP pool, turning a broken retreat into an aggressive counter-lock. Low macro tanks stay in a fight until they hit 0% health. Elite roamers treat their HP bar as a cyclical resource. Pulling back isn't a retreat, it's an active operational reload. At 60% health, the math swung back into our favor. I re-entered the base not out of hope, but to act as a definitive lightning rod, intentionally absorbing Obsidia's ultimate to leave her completely exposed to our backline. Because I anchored their primary damage source, my backline had a clean, unpunished canvas to work with. A flawless double kill, completely dismantling their final high ground line. In the absolute final seconds of a match, chaos is your greatest asset. The enemy squad completely fractured their defense, chasing our backline into the corners of the base and leaving the main crystal entirely unguarded. I didn't turn around to hunt a Gushon or Lucas. I recognized the vacuum they created. While the team focused on securing empty kills, I focused entirely on securing the macro win. Trust the macro, filter out the high ground chaos, and you will leave beyond the rank holding you back. Smash subscribe, and I'll see you in the next system breakdown.